Welcome to the Floating Dojo. Today I'm going to be going over my Road to Nationals Katsu deck that I made for this next upcoming year for 2026. I did a gameplay video that I'm going to be linking here, so you can check that out and see the deck in action. But I wanted to kind of break down, go over some strategy of the deck itself, talk about some of the matchups you might see, and just kind of go over the entire thing with you guys. So I've been playing Katsu for a few years now. It was the first hero that got me into the game almost 3 years ago now, 2.5, 3 years ago. And I swapped over to Syndra for a while. With the recent bans, I've decided to go back to Katsu. I've played him in RTNs in the past, top 8ing a number of times. And I really think it's a good time to get back into him and play Katsu again. So I'm going to kind of just dive into the deck, and we'll go on to some strategy after we talk about the deck. The equipment suite here is pretty standard. We're running Kodachis only. A lot of the Katsu decks right now have been running the Edge package from the Ira Armory deck. But I am currently on a purely Kodachi list. A lot of the heroes right now in our meta block pretty well, block effectively, and the possibility of losing Edge from the Scar Wraps to me is not making it worth it. And running Kodachis allows us to just chip damage a little bit easier into those grindier decks. So we're running Kodachis. We're running Breeze Rider boots and breaking scales as well. Breeze Riders are the Battle Worn 1 from Crucible that allow you to basically give your combo cards go again when you hit with a ninja card. This retroactively works, so if you hit with a ninja attack action card, you can pop your Breeze Riders when they hit, and that card that you just hit with gains go again in resolution. So you can continue your chain from there. This does not have to happen prior. And then Breaking Scales is just a +1 to combo cards. Also Battle Worn 1. I'm really hoping in Pen we get a better version of this. I think that this card is really good for what it's worth, and often threatens having to play around it for the opponent. But it's also just a Battle Worn +1 that's a common. So there's definitely got to be something better coming. So hopefully, but for now, Breaking Scales does what it needs to do. We're running Heart and Cross Strap for our chest piece, which is an action to destroy. Your next card costs 2 less. We use that often with our card like Surging Strike or Command and Conquer. And then we run Mask of the Pouncing Lynx in our main board. It does come out for one matchup, but every other matchup we're running this combo piece. It basically allows us to tutor a power 2 or less card from our deck. We banish it, shuffle, and then we can play that card this turn. So it's a free tutor. You have to hit to do it. But it is another just a one-time fetch. And it blocks for 2 if you really need to, which hopefully we don't. Hopefully we get to use it. But in our sideboard for equipment, we have AB3. I'm running AB3 in my sideboard pretty much purely for Verdance. With the bans that Verdance had, a lot of people are running a little more arcane-focused deck, and it's still pretty good. And I have found running the AB3 with other cards in the deck have effectively done pretty well. So I'm running Null Room Gloves, the Arcane Lantern, and Tide Flippers for my AB3. I've considered swapping Arcane Lantern out, but I have not. It's still in for now. The 2 Kodachis can make a big difference sometimes in that game, but for now, I'm just running that in there, and it's worked pretty well in my past matchups. So we also have Mask of Momentum and Tiger Stripe Shuko. These cards are exclusively for Prism. It makes the Prism matchup a little bit better. That matchup is horrendous in general, in my opinion, for us. Unless you tech for it, and some people have been running extra poppers. I am not. I am choosing to focus on other decks to tech for. So that's the equipment kind of suite there for us. Okay, so getting into the core of our deck here, we have 50 cards, and then the last 10 cards or more we add in from our sideboard depending on the matchup. But this 50 pretty much runs every game. There's one card that might come out here and there. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's go through kind of our main 50 cards here. So we'll start off with all of our combo cards, because those are our ninja attack actions that really trigger off of Katsu, which, if you don't know Katsu's ability, when an attack action card hits each turn the first time, You can search your deck for a card with combo, banish that card, then shuffle your deck, and then you can play that card. So it's a tutor at the expense of a 0-cost card in your deck, so in your hand. So a lot of the times we are tutoring cards out of our hand to search for cards in our deck to play to make our combo lines work more efficiently. So a lot of the cards that we run are 0-cost. So we have for combo, we're running Bonds of Ancestry. This card was banned for a while because of our boy Zen, but we're back. We only have 3 copies, which is still not too bad. We can do a lot of damage with just 3 copies of this. This is basically another tutor card that allows you to search a card in your graveyard, banish it, find the same card with the same name in your deck, banish that one, and then you can play that second card this turn. It does require a Gustwave card being played before, and if you do that, it becomes a 0-cost 4 Go Again tutor. Very powerful. Descendant Gustwave, this is one of our Gustwaves here. It's a 1 for 3 in the red with Surging Strike being the last one in the chain, becomes a 0 for 5 with Go Again. Pretty straightforward. They run the yellows as well. I run 5, 3 reds, 2 yellows. Because these are tutorable out of the deck from Katsu as well as from Bonds of Ancestry. We run Flusterfist here, 3 of red. Combo saying if Open the Center was the last attack, Flusterfist gets +1 for each attack that has hit this chain. To basically salt the wound, but it starts at a base 4 instead of a base 2. You'll notice we don't run Open the Center, but there is a card that allows us to name things, which is why we run this. It's also just a 0 for 4 that blocks 3, which is really good. Our next Gustwave, Gustwave the Second Wind, also known as the Underwhelming Gustwave, came out in Rosetta. This is just a 0 for 4, 3 block. If Surging Strike was the last attack, it gets Go Again. That's it. Nothing crazy. We also run Spinning Wheel Kick. This is a 1 for 4 that combos off of itself, basically. So if you play another Spinning Wheel Kick, it comes in for a 1 for 5 and then goes on the bottom when it hits. This is kind of taking the place for me over 100 wins. I like having the 1 for 4 option, especially because I'm running, I don't know, I just have liked it more. There's really no other reason. I mean, you could run 100 wins in this place, but I have enjoyed Spinning Wheel Kick a little bit more. Threatening a 4 Go Again at the beginning before you do your Surging Strike chain sometimes can kind of throw them off. You can also combo this with things like Command and Conquer, so force them to block early and then punish them later. But I've really liked it personally. Sometimes it demands 2 cards instead of 1 to stop the Katsu, and that can do a lot. Our next combo is Whelming Gustwave. This is the Welcome to Wraith Gustwave. That states if Surging Strike was the last attack, it gets +1, Go Again, on hit, draw a card. So 0 for 4, plus block 3, Go Again, on hit, draw a card, with Surging Strike being the last one in the chain. You'll notice there's a lot of 0 for 4, 3 blocks, which is pretty good. We also have Mugenshi Release here. This combo is off of Whelming Gustwave. This states that if Whelming Gustwave was the last one, it gets +1, Go Again, and on hit, you can search your deck for any cards named Lord of Wind, which we run 3 of, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck. So this allows us to do the big OG combo, the Lord of Wind combo from Welcome to Wraith, and I'll kind of get into that when we get to Lord of Wind. Tempest Palm, this is the newest Gustwave that came out in Super Slam. This card kind of made the deck a little bit better with Kodachi's, a lot better actually, because this becomes a Kodachi Gustwave starter. So, because if you play this after 2 Kodachis, you're at Chainlink 3, this has Go Again. You can also play this off of a Bonds, and if you're at Chainlink 3, you can continue chaining off of Gustwave with that without having to pop your boots, which is really, really nice. It gives you more than 1 big turn. So I run 3 of these, 0, 3, 3 block. It also states that if Surging Strike was the last attack this chain, it gets +2. So if you go Kodachi, Surging Strike, Tempest Palm, you're going to come in for 1, 5, and then 5, which is pretty good and pretty hard to block out, especially if the opponent is out of equipment or does not run defense reactions and things like that. Also run for combo our Dishonor here. This is the Outsiders combo card. This card is crippling against a lot of heroes. It basically states if it hits and you've controlled Surging, Descendant, Bonds of Ancestry, all 3 of those, and then this hits, they lose their hero ability for the entire game. There's some heroes where this just, I mean, you just win the game. If you can Dishonor someone like KO, they no longer get the buff for all of their 5 They're 5 power attacks outside of the zone. If you can do it to someone like Syndra, she can't buy her daggers back. She also doesn't make fealties anymore. Arachne can no longer do his transformation. You can't get stealth go again. Valda can't make seismic surges or get dominate. Victor doesn't, there's a lot of implications that this being hitting a hero can really sway the output, or really sway the outcome, of a game. So this is a really powerful combo card. We also have Lord of Wind. This is, again, now back to the original Welcome to Wraith combo line. It states if Mugenshi release was the last one this chain, you can pay X resources as an additional cost. If you do, you shuffle X target cards named Surging Strike, Whelming, and or Mugenshi release from your graveyard back into your deck, and then Lord of Wind gets plus X, where X is how many you shuffle back in. So the main combo line here you'd run Surging, Whelming, Mugenshi, into Lord of Wind. You'd draw all 3, you'd play one of them, you'd pitch 6 resources from the other 2, and you'd put 6 cards back in your deck, and you'd come in for 8, which is really, really good. The other option you have with this is that if you pop your boots, your Breeze Rider boots on this turn, you're doing it, and let's say you're on like an Ancestral Harmony turn, then you can come in for 2, 2, and 2 if you don't have a lot of those cards in your graveyard. So it's a little more versatile than you think. You can do a few different things with it, which is really nice. But yeah, I run this. It's a really good late game card because if you can pull it off mid to late game and shuffle 4 to 5 cards back in your deck while threatening 5 to 6 damage, you can shift the tides quite a bit and put a lot more threats back in your deck that you've already played, which is huge. Retrace the Past is another combo card that we got from Hunted. This states if you've attacked with a card with Gustwave in its name on the last chain link, then name a card, this card gains that card, and then it gets +2 and go again. So this really opened up the lines for Katsu to play a lot of new stuff because you can just name things whatever you want and you can do some cool tricks with that. So one good trick is for our Flusterfist here. We can play, Bonds of Ancestry, or we can play, a Surging into a Gustwave, into Bonds of Ancestry, into Tempest Palm Gustwave, into Retrace the Past, naming Open the Center, and then play your Flusterfist. And then this could be coming in for anywhere from between 7 and 10 damage, depending on how much they let hit earlier in the chain. You can also do stuff where you can name things Surging Strike to discount the cost of your Descendant Gustwaves, to trigger on hits for Whelming Gustwave. You can call things Whelming Gustwave to trigger Mugenshi when it hits. You can trigger Spinning Wheel Kick to trigger on itself. You could name something Bonds of Ancestry to make Dishonor turn online. There's a lot of really cool lines that you can take with this card, and I've really enjoyed playing it. It's just really good. It's a really phenomenal card, and it comes in for 4, and it blocks 3, and it costs nothing. So we're looking good here. That is all we run for combos. There's a good number of combo cards. I believe it is, where's my 37? We're at 37 combo cards in this deck, which is pretty good. Non-combos in our core, we run 3 Ancestral Empowerment, which is Ninja attack action card gets +1, draw card, which is just like really good. +1 draw card, trigger Katsu when it hits. Awesome. We run Surging Strike in red and yellow. We run 6 of them. This is our combo starter 99% of the time. It is 2 block, which isn't as good, but it comes in for 4 or 5 go again and starts all of our Gustwave chains. We also run 3 Ancestral Harmony, where your attacks with combo get +1. You also banish a top card of your deck. If it has combo, you can play it this turn, so it can replace itself in a card, and it pumps all of your combo cards. So all of your 0 for 4s become 0 for 5s. All of your 3s become 4s. Your 5s become 6s. Very powerful card, and you can spike quite a bit with this card. The only other card we have in the core, and it's a little bit of a spicy one, is I run Sapphire Amulet. It doesn't block, which is a little bit of a bummer, but Katsu doesn't always want to block anyway, and if you can get this early and get it on the field and you pop your boots, you can trigger this at the end of your big turn and draw 5 cards and continue pressuring even harder. It also allows you on an off turn when you have to block 3 or 4 cards, you can just play this and then pass, setting yourself up for a later turn. I've had a lot of games where this has come in super clutch. If you're low on health and you can pop it at the end of a turn, you can draw 5 cards. That's an extra 3 block, or you draw a D-React, that's an extra 4 block that you have, and you can still keep a full hand after that. So it just extends your range quite a bit. Sometimes you do draw at an inopportune time where you have to block and you just don't. It is what it is. I haven't had that happen nearly as often as I've had this be very good for me. So I've been running it. I've been liking it quite a bit. And it stays in the core unless I play into Acilio. It's the one hero that I take this out because I just don't. That game's 2 to 3 turns usually. And I don't run AB into that matchup anyway, so this doesn't get AB. This isn't pitched for AB, so it's kind of pointless. So I take it out. But that's our core 50. It has been super consistent for the last probably year or so, and then as we've got new sets, it just kind of keeps adding a card. We've added Retrace, we've added Tempest Palm, and now we've added Sapphire Amulet, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with how it feels. Our sideboard, a lot of the times we're going to add in a little over 60, which is okay. Katsu's hero ability innately gets rid of cards in our deck, so it's okay to have a little extra because we're going to filter through them so fast. It's kind of nice to have extra cards sometimes. So first off, we have Arcane Polarity here. This is mostly tech for Florian, for Verdance, Acilio, any of our Runeblades and Wizards that are running Arcane. I will generally run Arcane Polarity to gain some of that health back because, especially into Florian, I recently have not even been running AB into Florian, and I've just been running Polarity and trying to raise him down. Some matchups, or sometimes if I'm not doing that, I'll just I'll take off Breaking Scales and I'll run the gloves and keep Breeze Rider boots because they usually run so many D-Reacts that the Breaking Scales isn't as useful anyway. But being able to Breeze Rider is really important on the turns you need to do it, to either unbreak you or extend really far. So I usually will take an Arcane slot in one of those in this slot, or I'm sorry, in the Breaking Scales slot, if I am. And I haven't really fully settled on that. I'm very 50-50. But into the Verdance match, I absolutely run this. Into Acilio, I absolutely run this. We don't have to worry about Kano anymore, so I don't have to worry on that. But yeah, Arcane Polarity, gain 1 health. If you know Arcane, you gain 4. You got to be careful a little bit when it comes to Vincent and Florian, because if they're running Reaping Blade, you just need to make sure that you don't have more health than them when you play this, or else this doesn't trigger. You won't gain health, so just something to think about. We run 3 Command and Conquer, 3 E-Strike. These go into most of our matchups, but there's a few that we don't. I think I get into that into the matchups. I have it all set up. But yeah, these really help us kind of in the hands that we draw awkwardly, or we don't draw very efficient, or we're forced to block 1 or 2 cards. Sending a CNC for 6 after Kodachi, or sending a E-Strike for 7, or E-Strike for 5 and do something else, just helps kind of keep our consistency up a little bit in damage output, and helps us with some of those more awkward hands. They're also really nice into Assassin when they try and Codex us and then deal damage. We can just CNC or E-Strike them back from Arsenal, which is cool. Run Flick Flack, run a 3 of. This is a D-React. If the next card you defend with is a card with combo, that card gets +2. So blocking with a Flick Flack and then blocking with a 3-block combo card like Dishonor blocks us for 5 and 4, which is a 2-card 9 block, which is very good. Katsu also loves putting cards in his graveyard so he can use Bonds of Ancestry to pull them back out on the big turn. So this is a great card for us. I run this into a lot of matchups. We also run 2 Salt the Wound and 2 Tenacity. These come in depending on the matchup. Our more aggro matchups, I usually run the Salt the Wound. This is just the Fluster Fist, but again, another version of it. And Tenacity is the opposite, kind of, whereas instead of you getting a +1 for every time you hit, you get a +1 for every time they put a defending card on the chain. This is very punishing into those block-heavy decks if you can finagle it out into decks like Verdance when she blocks a full turn, or Victor, any of the Guardians, Warriors, Kasai, Dory. It's very, very punishing because they'll block a whole lot of cards out of their hand and equipment, and then you can throw Tenacity at the end for 6 or 7 and sneak damage over the top, kind of punishing them for blocking, which is nice. We also run Warmongers still. I run a 3-up for this, mostly for the Rangers. Some of the Warriors, depending on who you're playing, sometimes like there's a lot of front pumping Warriors like Dory and Kasai. Also, they have a lot of front pumped weapon Warrior cards. So sometimes I'll just run this into those matchups because having extra cards is fine. And if it lines up on a turn where I have to block out and play Warmongers, it can work out nicely. Vincent also, this does really well into the Rune Blades and the Pirate Heroes. So Puffin, Gravy, and Marlin. They all really want to do both. And this helps you kind of take tempo on catching them with a hand where they have to play around this. So that's the deck. I had a couple cards in my maybe slot here that I have not put in or not. These are cards that you could run if you wanted. I think that they could be good meta picks in general. What I didn't put in here is a 3 of another popper, like a 7-power popper. Some people are running Call for Backup, Battlefront Bastion, Chest Puff even. Anything that's a 7-power blocker popper is really good for Prism. So if you're really, really expecting a lot of Prisms wherever you're playing, you could always run that instead of the Arcane Polarity, or instead of like Warmongers if you don't have any Gravies or whatever in your area, or any Pirate Heroes or Rune Blades. I also am running, have Reinforce Align here as a maybe. This could kind of substitute for Flick Flack or E-Strike or Arcane Polarity if you have a lot of Guardians and you really want to try and defend that health a little more. Target defending attack gets a +4. It's an instant, so it plays around things like Overpower, Dominate, and attack reactions. This covers up a pummel. So you can use this as well. I used this back in the heavy hitters meta and it was really good. The decks are a little different now, so this, I don't have it in there right now, but it's a possibility. You could run it. And then Overcrowded's really good into Assassins. If you have a lot of Assassins in your area, this card getting one into your graveyard early pretty much turns off all of their codexes, because whatever they put in there, you put this into your arsenal and block with it for 4, because it gets +2 for the Frailty token and the Ponder token in the arena. So it makes things like Leave No Witnesses, Command and Conquer kind of useless into that card. So this is a really good pick if you have a ton of Assassins in your meta, or you just want to try it. It's a 0-cost blue, which Katsu loves, and you could probably slide it in somewhere here. You could take out a blue combo, or you could just run it and just run more blue. I'm running 16 blues in the main deck. You could go up to 18 or 19 if you really wanted. I think 16 is fine. But yeah, those are some other cards I've thought about, but they're just not in the deck right now. But I think they're still good picks. They could be good picks, just meta dependent. But yeah, this is what we're looking at right now for the deck. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to be going over some strategy next, just about like the deck itself and how I kind of play depending on matchups and such. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the deck tech itself. Let's get into some strategy. Okay, we're going to be going over a little bit of strategy with the Katsu deck and kind of how I approach most matchups with the deck, and what we're kind of trying to do with it. Katsu's really big deal is he's kind of a physical version of Kano most of the time. He's trying to do a crazy 25 to 35 point damage turn to either just force kill the opponent or take so much tempo that they have to give us everything, and then we can kind of just run them down from there. Sometimes in the matchup, depending if they're very good at blocking and draw well, we have to kind of chip damage first and play a little more patient to naturally sculpt some lines, and we can't just kind of go all in at the first time we draw a nice hand. So it just depends on your matchup and what you're doing, but majority of the time we're going to be looking to use our Kodachis here to chip some damage, to bring them to a little bit of lower health total, to sculpt a nice line, usually revolving around a Surging, Descendant, Ibans, if not into any other gust wave, a bonds, and then extending that line usually past the bonds into either a tempest or a retrace, maybe into a fluster, or going for the Magenshi Lord of Wind line. And we have some extenders such as Ancestral Harmony, Ancestral Empowerment, Headpiece. So we can really build some really strong turns when we're not pressured and threatened super hard. So again, depends on the matchup, depends on the draws, but that's kind of what we're aiming to do with the deck. I have a matchup guide kind of here for a lot of the meta decks and the decks that we run into on average. This is all going to be available in the link in the description here with the deck. So if you want to try it out, you have all the info here. Let me know what you guys think. This is the first time I've really done a full write-up on heroes and matchups, and it's all public for you guys so you can see it. But I'll kind of run through them just briefly, and then, yeah. So I'm going to start out here with our aggro matchups. So most of our aggro matchups, not including our Brute and Assassin ones, so you're thinking of other ninjas mostly, so Syndra, other Mirror, Katsus, Phais, Ira if it's an aggressive Ira. Any aggro matchup that's not an arcane focused matchup, it's pretty much a race. Using Dishonor early to try and threaten cards out of their hand can be really nice. We just don't run Tenacity, we don't run Warmongers, we don't run Mockery Polarity. We run the CNC, the E-Strike, the Assault the Wound, and kind of just focus on racing them down. Assassin, again, mostly a race. Dishonor can do the same thing here. You can run more than 60 if you want to run extra cards, especially if you're running into Huntsman Arachne. Running the Warmongers, running the Tenacity can be totally fine here because they're going to try and strip so many cards out of your deck. Running extra cards is okay. And with that matchup specifically with Huntsman, try and park an Ancestral Empowerment in Arsenal to play around their D-React. That looks at the top card of your deck, names a card, and does the whole banishing thing. Because once they play that and look at the top card of your deck, you can draw that card with Ancestral Empowerment, and then they have to blind guess. And you can just, one, let the attack hit because of the Ancestral Empowerment, and two, they won't be able to banish all those cards out of your deck. So that's a really good trick to play around. It's kind of hard sometimes if they don't draw it at the time that you draw that, but if you have the ability to, be a little patient, try and do that, because you can take a lot of tempo if you deny that from them. We also have the Brute matchups here. So this is for KO, Rhinar, and RKO. RKO is a little different, but KO and Rhinar. Most of these are aggro matchups again. And this matchup is very similar to our other matchups, but in this one we have to play around Scowling Fleshbag. This is the headpiece that just banishes or intimidates a card from our hand randomly. In this one I do run Assault the Wound and Tenacity. So we just go up to 63 cards in the deck, which is fine. Again, running extra cards in this deck is completely fine in my opinion. We Katsu so many of them out anyway, it doesn't matter. But what you really want to do is try and use your arsenal and banish zone as much as you can and play the out of it more than you would your hand to try and deny that Scowling Fleshbag value early. A lot of the times I'll try and do a pretty big hand early and try and bait the headpiece out so that when I pop my chest and headpiece later, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Or park some cards in Arsenal or Ancestral Harmony so that you don't have to worry about losing the card from the Fleshbag because the card's in your Arsenal or in your banish zone already. A lot of the times in these matchups, if they just draw double Blood Rush Bellows early and you don't draw your big combo early, they just win, and that's just how it goes. The only other thing to think about with Brute is Reckless Swing. Make sure you're aware if they're running Reckless Swing and you see it, because that will kill you from 2 health. So, yeah, really this matchup is just being patient and playing around Scowling Fleshbag and not allowing them to destroy your entire big pop-off turn. Gravy Bones, this matchup's not too terribly difficult. I actually have a matchup with this in my gameplay video that I have in the description. If you want to watch me play Gravy, I also have a Syndra matchup in there. But Gravy, to me, they don't have a lot of blocking equipment most of the time. So you kind of just want to go face and deal as much damage as fast as you can to create a large life lead. They have to take damage to get cards in their graveyard and arsenal, especially allies, to do their hero ability. So they're going to have to take damage to do that. I usually try and make a big health lead, and then once they get a few allies out, I'll start using them purely to trigger on hits. So using Whelming Gust Waves to clear allies, clearing allies or hitting allies so that I can Katsu or Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, things like that. I mean, keeping the board state under control is good, but a lot of the time, if you can just keep threatening so much damage to them that they have to block, them swinging 4 or 6 with an ally and passing doesn't really matter when we're threatening 15, damage a turn towards them. They'll either run out of cards to block with, or you can kind of time your sequencing around hitting an ally to clear one while you're doing extra damage. And you also have your Kodachis, which can help clear some stuff as well, especially like Rigor Mortis, Sawbones, if they trigger the ability prior to it. So saving your Kodachis to the end of your chain could be kind of nice too. I also run Warmonger's Diplomacy in this matchup because Warmongers can just cripple Gravy in general. Either they can't set up allies or they can't attack you, which both of those are fine. So yeah, that's kind of the matchup. I don't run Flick Flack in this matchup, and I don't run Tenacity or Insult the Wound, and I run the CNC, E-Strike, and Salt the Wound stuff. So we have Guardian. These matchups are honestly probably our worst matchups. Guardian's really difficult for Katsu. If they can block effectively, Katsu has to hit to do things, and they can just shut you down. They also have access to this amazing card called Test of Iron Grip from the Mastery Pack Guardian. This just says Clash. If they win, you discard. And there was a match against a Victor I played the other day where they drew all 3 in the first 4 turns, and I just couldn't do anything, and I ended up being killed from they were at 30 health still. If it lines up for them and they win every Clash and they draw all their gold gen early and they can cast Homes, and then it can just get out of hand so fast, especially with Victor. But with these matchups, you just want to try and keep your health up, play patient, try and CNC to disrupt, deal damage through E-Strike and Kodachis, and try and set up a big combo. Maybe use Tenacity to punish them when they use equipment. But I mean, sometimes it's just a bad matchup. You can win them if you draw well and you get some nice timing with things and they don't draw super well. A lot of this matchup, though, is, again, just being very patient and knowing when to pop off, when to block, and how to keep your health high while still threatening damage. Kasai and Dory for the Warriors, they're a little different, but kind of similar at the same time. Again, these two heroes are getting a little bit more play right now because of their prevention they run, which helped get around Syndra quite a bit. And Kasai is just a value engine with her hero. Once she starts making gold and can start generating gold consistently, she can just swing for free every turn, and it's gross. Denying her gold gen as long as you can is really good. I really think this matchup's just about chipping with Kodachis, playing those small hands, forcing equipment, getting their health a little lower, and then just having that big pop-off turn to try and take tempo as long as it takes. For Dory specifically, when they start getting a big Dawnblade counter turn, because sometimes we have to let them hit, we just can't block it out. They'll get 1 or 2 counters on Dawnblade, we'll do a bunch of damage, and we'll take them pretty low. But then they have a big turn. Try and spot out the turn that they need to hit for go again with the legs, or don't have a go again option, and just block out Dawnblade completely. Even if they swing 6 or 7, just throw 12 in front of it so that they just definitely cannot hit it, because then they can't swing it again, so they can't get the counter. They can't punish you really with it, and reset those counters and then keep going. The game feels a lot easier when they're only coming in for 3 with a full hand as opposed to 6. So don't be afraid in that matchup with Dory if she's on Dawnblade to just block out and reset the counters on it. Acilio, also pretty represented right now. This matchup's really difficult. It's kind of a coin flip. We're both very big aggro decks. It comes down to who gets the combo first. Sometimes Acilio just deals 35 damage on turn 1 and you lose. That's just how it goes. Sometimes they just draw 4 instants and you win. I mean, it just really comes down to the variability in the decks. I mean, it's just whoever draws the heat first. With this matchup, Acilio's combo style is that he just plays a bunch of lightning attack actions and instants to amp 6 to 10 damage and then arcanes you for 10 at the end. Running AB3 into a Mind Warp for 12 is just pointless. I mean, preventing 4 damage to then go down to 2 card hands is like, why even run the AB? I don't run AB in this matchup. If anything, I might try running AB1 just in the off chance that I can't get zapped from 0. Zapped from 1, I mean, like they just can't kill me on my turn because I can hold something. But most of the time, I just run Polarity, use my equipment that I usually have to keep my health up, and then I just try and do more damage first and kill them. Dishonoring Acilio seems like it's nothing because all their whole hero ability is just discard and draw a card. But when Acilio can't filter cards every turn, both of our turns, so 2 cards per turn, them finding their combo line takes a lot longer, and you can just punish them for having extra instants in hand and they can't find blocking cards or drawing stuff that doesn't synergize well. So don't be afraid to try and dishonor Acilio. It can absolutely still do a lot of damage. This is the match I don't run Sapphire Amulet. It doesn't block. We're not running AB3, so it's like, why? It doesn't. And the odds that we need this trigger are so low because this takes a turn to put out and then another turn to pop. And a lot of these matches are so fast that we just don't need to. Prism is another matchup I have on here. Prism is up there with the Guardians where it is just a very difficult match. We don't run a lot of poppers. We don't block super efficiently sometimes. So this can be really hard if they just draw an Angelic Wraith and they'll just run away with the game. With this, I do run Mask of Momentum and the Tiger Stripe Shuko. They're both 2 blocks, which help us kind of prevent Erudition from hitting a little more. We can play around it better, and having the non-prevent on the arm piece does trigger sometimes. It says that your second card with base 2 or less can't be prevented. And I mean, like Descendant, Retrace, Lord of Wind, Dishonor, Blue Whelming, those are all 2 power. So sometimes it triggers, sometimes it's relevant, but most of the time it blocks 2, which is great. But yeah, if your hand is not phenomenal, threatening a ton of damage or disrupting, I usually try and deny the first Herald, because then they don't have the go again from it. And if they hit with the second Herald, they don't have go again, so they'll just put an Angel out and then pass. And we can just either target it or they won't even awaken it, and then we can just go face. Running the D-Reacts here can be really nice to help get around the Angelic Wrath, as well as the Dominate Erudition. I run Salt the Wound as well, and then the CNC for a popper and E-Strike. Some people run 6 poppers in the sideboard, CNC, and then something else. I'm not teching for Prism. I'm accepting that if I see a Prism, that is what it is. And I'm teching for other heroes that I think are a little more prevalent. Which, speaking of that, Verdance. Verdance, we run our AB3 and Arcane Polarities. Keeping your life up is very important. If you get below 9, you are now within lethal range of any of their 6 damage arcane spells and Waning Moon, which they usually run. And you have to, your health is just so much less. So I usually run AB3 and just play really patiently, try and get a big combo turn in there too, to try and take tempo and force them to block. I don't run Flick Flack. I don't run Warmongers in this matchup. We do run 63, which is fine, and we run the Salt the Wound and Tenacities. So yeah, that's kind of the strategy that I've been running. A lot of this is either you're racing or you're being patient, and you're just really trying to sculpt that big line and playing around your opponent's equipment. I really think that Katsu, given the right hands, given a little bit of luck, can win a Road to Nationals. I think the deck is very fun. There's games I play where I threaten 40 damage and you just win. Like it can be pretty bonkers when you draw nice and you hit off the top with Harmony and stuff like that. So I've really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to throw the description. In the description of the video, we're going to have the link for the deck on February so you can access it. We're also getting super close to that 100 subscriber mark. I think we're over 80 already. Just a reminder, we're going to be doing a giveaway with that. It's going to be a pre-built Silver Age deck by me that I'm going to be mailing out to one person. We'll make a video for it when we reach that 100 subscribers, where you will be able to enter and win a deck from me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Drop a message in the to me, or leave me a comment if you're interested in playing this deck. If you guys take it to a Road to Nationals, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you again for supporting the Floating Dojo, and yeah, we'll catch you next time.